Welcome everyone to my World Civ 106 class. I'm really excited to teach this course. Um, there's two courses that I have down, I would say the most, um, and that's US 101 and 106, which I'm both teaching both of these subjects this semester. So I'm excited about that. Um, what I, um, when it comes to teaching World Civ, as much as I love it, and my emphasis in college was Asia and the Islamic world, which is like super broad, but essentially Middle Eastern, modern Middle East politics. I studied that quite a bit, and the Israel-Palestine conflict excessively, if you ever have any questions on that. But, as much as I love the idea of teaching World Civ, there are some problems with this kind of class, which is that you get a massive amount of information about the entire world in a short period of time. And if you have not been studying the world, and this is your first exposure to world civilizations, you will be overwhelmed. Now, what I want you to know is that I set this up in a way that I thought could leave some imprints of these different civilizations on your brain, something that you can relate to. So I picked the topic of world religions. And what I do is I cover the basics for as many of the different civilizations that I could fit into this class. And what I figure is that if you are a religious person, then you will relate or understand to the concepts. You might even debate with those concepts in your brain or out loud with your friends or your family, in discussing outside of this class. But you will be mentally engaged. If you're an atheist, then you will be having the same kind of thing. In other words, you'll have a thought about what's going on, and you'll be engaged with the subject matter. Now, having said that, when a person teaches a world religion class, it's different than if I'm teaching it as a theology class. Okay, I'm teaching this from a secular historical point of view. That means that, like the Bible, the Quran, the Bhagavad Gita, the Tao Te Ching, all these different texts, I put in context through history and the way that I deal with Zeus and Odin. Okay? In other words, if I was teaching this from a theology class, you would simply say, the angel so-and-so actually said to so-and-so, and this is how this book came into being, and this is how this history developed. God intervened. That's not the approach I take to this. Now, I want you to be aware, I'm not trying to teach something as opposed to that. I want you're going to learn not just about how different civilizations, histories have developed or their religions, but the way in which a secular historian has to present it, different than if I was to do something else. So, for instance, I also teach evolution in the first chapter. I always try to make this clear to my students. You're not asked to believe in evolution. Many of my students are religious, and they absolutely reject the idea of evolution. Some fuse the ideas together. That's not my job to impose, or it's not my problem. In other words, I'm teaching you what scientists say about the origins of the world and how they theorize about the existence of human life and how that approach gets put into secular history. It doesn't mean you have to agree with it. And in fact, when I talk about a religion or civilization that you may come from or be a part of, you're not asked to agree. And in fact, if you do think I got information wrong or incorrect, or anybody else in a discussion, let's address that, okay? But I don't want anybody to feel attacked. So in other words, what I'm saying is everything is being treated on a fair level. Obviously, if I was teaching Sunday school, I'm going to teach Christianity different or giving a sermon different than I would teach in this class. That's my point that I want to make, okay? And so if there's any question on that, please let me know, because I want everyone to become very comfortable, to not feel like something's imposed on you, but you're being enriched in life, and you're being able to understand better maybe why the world does things the way that they do, and how they think, and how they've developed. And that's mainly what I'm really trying to stress. How have other civilizations developed in the way that they perceive the world, and how do they engage with it? And and I also want you to see where religion doesn't come into play. I don't want us to get lost and think that everybody was just thinking about religion 24 hours a day in each given society. Just the same as now, the humanity is full of contradictions. Let's be real. Internet porn is massive in America. Most people would agree. Most Americans also believe in God and have some sort of professed faith. Now, this is not me poking at the religious, because you can find those kind of statistics and contradictions in other societies. I guess what I'm saying is that we have ideals, and then we have things that we do, and we historians try to deal with that. And of course, ministers are addressing that to their congregation every day, right? Can't just say something, you got to do something. Well, this is how humanity's been operating for a long time. And I think that if you even look at what I just said, that doesn't contradict most religious traditions. The idea that the followers need to always kind of step it up a little bit more. That's kind of what the prophets were always talking about, right? Now, but why I'm addressing that is what I'm saying is, for historians, we try to look at what actual civilizations do, and then we also compare that to their ideals and their concepts. And then we see where they actually harmonize and where they contradict, and we see that that's a part of normal conditions of humanity, okay? And I hope you find that interesting. So in the debates, or should I say the discussions that we're going to have, I want you to be able to contribute to that. You can debate, but just be respectful. Imagine that no matter whatever subject we talk about, that there's another student who's actually affiliated with that civilization and that religion, and so that you would be respectful enough to deal with that, okay? And then you'd be respectful for the fact that some people are not religious at all, okay? So I just want my classroom to be a place of comfortableness and accessibility for everyone, okay? I have the instructions for how to get around in my class. With the Canvas, which I use the 101 example, but it'll still work for this class. I just want to briefly say, I am a single parent. I have 2 jobs. Most of us Americans are hardworking people right now. The economy is not what we'd like it to be, and we have real life problems. I am very sympathetic for parents, single parents, and just, when you have to deal with things like heartache or sickness, you need to communicate with me, okay? So I try to make myself as accessible as possible and as supportive as possible. I try to be not just your instructor, but your ally, your comrade in helping you fulfill what you need to do to try to better your life and to enrich yourself. And I'm hoping that you'll see that this class will be just that. It will enrich your life beyond just a grade that you get, okay? If there's questions about the work or anything like that, let me know. This first week, I'm going to be a little bit busier than usual. I'm kind of having to rearrange some things. I promise you I'll be much more accessible the second, but I'm still accessible. I'm just saying this week's going to be a little bit tricky, but I promise you that doesn't mean that you're going to get an email 5 days later or anything like that, okay? So here we go. We move forward, and I hope that you actually end up enjoying this class a lot. Thanks.